The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to Coffee and Cinema, part of the Secrets and Movies and TV Shows podcast. I'm Dom Bettinelli, and I'm here with Father Chip Hines. Hi, Father Chip.
Hey, Dom. How are you?
Good. And we've just come out of the theater after watching the new movie, Avengers Endgame. We did. Now, we're not at our usual coffee spot. We are actually downstairs at the Showcase Cinemas in Dedham Legacy Place here in Massachusetts, outside of Boston. We're in a little restaurant area that's empty because I was paranoid about spoiling people with our discussion at the coffee shop.
I was not. Dom was.
Yeah, of course. I just remember the news story about the guy who got beat up for spoiling the movie.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, some guy came out of the movie, walked out past people waiting in line to go in. This is opening night, and totally spoiled it. And
oh man,
he literally got beat up.
Wow.
Sent to the hospital.
Wow,
so,
that's tough.
That's
the literal definition of a tough crowd.
That is a tough crowd. Yeah, that reminds me of the Simpsons episode where Homer came out and spoiled Star Wars. So what we're going to do, as we do with Coffee and Cinema, is we're going to first talk about our spoiler-free impressions, which is going to be short because it's hard to talk about this movie without spoiling something.
Yeah, it's impossible almost.
But we'll give our first just general impressions. Then we'll give you a clear warning, and then we'll start talking about the spoiled parts of it, and then
not that they're spoiled, but
right.
We'll be spoiled.
We'll spoil the movie, and we'll talk about it for those of you who have seen it or who don't care about spoilers. But if you care about spoilers, you just pause it when I tell you to pause it, watch the movie, then come back and listen to the rest of it.
There you go.
I do want to point out that we are often going to have, in addition to the Coffee and Cinemas discussions, we're going to have our normal Secrets of Movies and TV Shows podcast panel discussions about these movies as well. So we're planning to do a Captain Marvel panel discussion. We do this because Father Chip and I are in geographical proximity. We can go to the movie, we can see it, and we can talk about it right afterward. Whereas a lot of our panelists are geographically spread out all over. So that gives us some time to watch it again, sit down, have some detailed thoughts about it, and come back to it. Reflections. So I'm thinking that'll be scheduled. These will be scheduled sometime around when the movie comes out in streaming or DVD, so that you have a chance to watch it again before we talk about it.
That's good.
Although I don't know when that will happen with these movies because of the whole Disney Plus streaming service question. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll let you know. First, our spoiler-free first impressions. Father Chip, did it live up to the hype?
Well, yes, I think it did. I mean, for me anyway, it's hard for these movies to live up to the hype. But this was epic. I mean, this is, probably the most epic one of them all. And, I think that when you think about who's in this movie and the stars that are in this movie, even if they're just for a minute or two,
right? It's
just unbelievable that who's there, and so it has that epic feel. It has that epic feel, sort of like the Lord of the Rings, or
right.
something. Not the middle one, the end one.
Like Return of the King, or
Last Jedi, or Revenge. What is it? Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Something like that.
Yeah,
it has that last feeling to it,
right?
And so I think that's what I think that helps it live up to its hype, because there's a sort of finality to it.
Right. There are going to be more Marvel movies, including at least some of these characters.
Right.
But this is the end of an era.
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years. And they've made it, this is the end of phase one, as they call it.
Right.
So there's a certain amount of finality, which this isn't spoiling anything. This is clear going into this.
Right.
They let us know that this was going to happen.
The name of the movie is Endgame.
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. So I agree. I think it lives up to the hype. I mean, as of we're talking about this, I think they said the box office the first weekend was like $1.5 billion.
I know.
Incredible, enormous numbers. Everybody, I mean, part of that is just because nobody wants to be spoiled.
Right.
So everybody's rushed out.
Right.
I have avoided social media for the last 5 days as much as I possibly can and still do my job. I mean, I just have been a ghost on social media. I've been avoiding news. I've been avoiding the normal sites.
That's funny.
Well, between this and Game of Thrones, the Battle of Winterfell, I mean, it's like the spoilers are everywhere. So
are you into that Game of Thrones? I didn't know that.
I've been watching it, and and in that one, I was. There were people. It's Game of Thrones, so people are going to die, and this is the last season, so lots of people are going to die. And I didn't want to be spoiled on that. Just as a tangent, maybe the best filmed battle I've ever seen. Like incredible, like that. So just as something,
I'll save that for another podcast.
Yes, that's another podcast. So although we may never do Game of Thrones on this podcast,
maybe not.
That might not be possible. So that was my next question. Was this for you a satisfying ending to 10 years and 21 movies? I mean, this is really the summation of 21 movies.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, I can't complain. You know, I mean, it's hard. This was a hard movie. I imagine this was a hard movie to write,
I can't
and to
imagine
film,
it.
trying to figure out all the plotting and all the the loose ends and everything else that's out there. I mean, how many times did they watch the other movies to try and figure out where they were going,
There must be a whole department of people who just keeps track of everything.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, that's why I say it's epic. It's like one of those movies where you just like, wow.
I don't think there's anything like this anywhere. Like,
because none of the other series sort of do these kind of things.
I don't think there's ever been another series of movies, like 21 movies.
Right.
I mean, Harry Potter was 8 movies, connected, one story.
I mean, I guess you can only put it up with, I mean, it won't be 21 movies, but Star Wars is going to have.
Star Wars, even at the end, will be 9
movies,
but,
right.
And that's, of course, over the course of 30 some odd years.
Right.
But still, that's only 9 movies. This is, I just cannot wrap my head around 21. Plus, not to mention Shield, Agents of Shield, and and Agent Carter, the TV show. I mean, you have other things.
All the Marvel stuff on Netflix and
although those don't really enter into. I don't want to spoil anything, but don't expect to see the Defenders, the Netflix guys, in this.
Right. I'm just saying they exist. Yeah. They're a Marvel property, and so it's just interesting that.
Well, there's even more out there that didn't figure into this, right?
So it makes you wonder sometimes, like, I wonder what those guys are doing. all this stuff's going on.
Yeah. I don't want, again, no spoilers, but there was at least 1 or 2 people I'm wondering where they were and what they were, how they were reacting to this. Maybe they died in the snap. We're spoiling Infinity Wars. That's that. Right. If you haven't watched that and you're listening to this, that's your fault. Yeah, exactly. So, so then my last question before we get into spoils: were you surprised by the resolution of what was set up in Infinity War?
Not surprised.
I was surprised.
I'm not. I wasn't surprised. I just didn't. I had no idea what they were going to do. I really didn't. I was kind of clueless and I wasn't really speculating in my head. It's these guys are way more creative than probably I'll ever be, and so to come up with an ending, I knew they'd come up with something. I knew they'd come up with something to resolve that.
But would they come up? If they come up with an ending that satisfies so much?
Yeah, but I think they did.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they do, and I think that's a good thing.
They had a tough job.
They have amazing.
They had an almost impossible job, and yet it was like 14 million to 1 that they could pull it off.
Literally,
and they pull it off. I mean, this movie is a success.
I would absolutely agree with that.
Not just monetarily. I mean, it was guaranteed to make $1 billion.
Right.
I mean, there was no question of that. But as a work of literature, of film, of fiction, it is a success.
Absolutely.
In closing out that story.
It makes me wonder too, like, what are the how are the actors that they're done? Some of them.
It's clear. We know clearly that we knew before going in that some of them were moving on from
their characters.
Yeah, we'll talk in the spoil part about which ones that is. But,
I wonder what those actors do now, and not even just do now, but like this is probably taken up so much time. And I mean, 21 movies, 10 years.
Right.
So much
For
of
some
their,
of them.
for some of them, so much of their actual filming life
10
has
years,
been.
10 years is a long time to commit to something
Absolutely.
like this.
It's amazing they were able to do it.
Right. Although a lot of these guys were doing other things at the same time. I mean, Chris Evans had time to make that terrible Snowpiercer train movie.
Yeah. Well,
but I know what you're saying. It's like,
but how many movies did he do in that 10-year period that weren't related to this? Snowpiercer, which I never saw.
Yeah. Yeah, like a handful. I mean, but then again, how many big actors? I mean, you look at Chris Pratt, for instance. He's got the Jurassic movie.
Yeah.
He's got, he's
been busy.
He's been like, so they've had time. The Passenger and the other, like that one off and stuff like that. So they've had work, these guys, and not all of them are in all the movies.
Right.
So, but I know what you're saying. The Avengers were pretty busy.
And think about, Captain America: Civil War was really an Avengers movie.
It was.
It wasn't a Captain America movie.
It was all, our normal group of characters. Right. You're right. And for an actor who's been committed to a series like this over a period of time,
Yep.
That's a big commitment. And now they're moving on to a new phase.
So who knows what they're going to do? I
mean, it's not like these guys ever have to work again.
Well, that's true.
I mean, they have all kinds of money, but
that's a whole other thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But they certainly they have things on the docket. I've looked at what some of these guys are working on, and they get offers, and many of them are still pretty young. I mean, Chris Evans is young, Scarlett Johansson is young, Don Cheadle and Robert Downey Jr. are older. Chris Hemsworth is pretty young still. I'm trying to think of who else. Scott Lang.
Ant-Man. Paul Rudd.
He's pretty young.
Yep. Paul Rudd's about my age.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He looks young.
Yeah, he looks good in comparison to me.
Yeah. Yes, he is. He has not aged well.
He's aged well.
But I look at a lot of these guys, and most of them are still pretty young, and so they've got a career ahead of them. I mean, they will have
for sure.
Spider-Man. Tom Holland is going to be around for a while,
right?
Which is good because I think so far he's the best Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Even better than Tobey Maguire.
Yeah. Agreed.
I didn't dislike any of them, frankly.
No.
This is a tangent, but I didn't like Tobey Maguire. I mean, I didn't dislike Tobey Maguire, although that one where he turned bad.
Yeah.
The Mirror Universe.
The third one.
Yeah.
I didn't like that one.
And then Andrew Garfield was good. So, but anyway, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's interesting to think about where they're going to go from here.
Right.
So
some of them haven't had successful movies other than these.
Yeah.
So
that's true. All right, so let's get into the spoilers. So I want to give a countdown to folks. You're going to hear me count down from 5 to 1. That's your warning to pause if you don't want spoilers, and to come back at some point in the future and listen to the rest once you are ready for it. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's talk about who lives, who dies, who tells their story.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was getting choked up at the end.
I think this movie had more personal emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, you come in thinking this is going to be a rock'em sock'em, beat 'em up movie, and there's actually a lot of space in this movie.
There's a lot of thoughtful dialogue.
Right. There's a lot of a theme that kept coming across to me was about being true to who you are.
Yeah. Being
true. One of the things I rewatched Infinity Wars last night, and one of the things that came across in Infinity War to me was the idea that we won't sacrifice anyone to justify the end of saving everyone. We're not, no Vision. We won't kill you in order to stop Thanos.
Right.
It came up several different times in that movie. I'm trying to, now it kind of slips my mind whether it's all muddled together. And we get similar moments in this movie where it's, they're confronted with these dilemmas of,
someone has to die.
Right. Or something bad. Should we do evil or bad or something that hurts somebody in order to accomplish good?
Yeah.
When the Hulk confronts Tilda Swinton there, the sorcerer of time, on the rooftop, and she's like, "No, if you take the stone now, we branch off into a terrible time branch," and he won't do that. Like, he promises to bring the stone back so that that won't happen. They won't do evil that good may result, which I think is really a great message.
Yeah,
There's a great moral message in that.
And it's interesting too that, you know, it's not Bruce that brings back the stones.
Right. It's Steve.
It's Steve Rogers and Captain America. And I think, you know, that probably had something to do with the fact that Chris Evans is
He's done
and tired of probably playing Captain America.
And so is Robert Downey Jr. He's done.
He's done. And obviously Scarlett Johansson must be done.
I expected Tony Stark to die. I expected Steve Rogers to be done.
Right.
The Black Widow, I did not expect
that either, because supposedly they were making a standalone Black Widow movie,
or that they certainly wanted to.
Right.
That might have been the big surprise for me. And that scene between her and Clint, Hawkeye, back and forth trying to sacrifice themselves.
Right.
I mean, that's the other thing is the self-sacrifice. There's so much self-sacrifice in this movie. And one of the things that got me was how Tony Stark from Iron Man 1, the playboy, selfish, self-involved, his journey
to this,
where he is the dad trying to save the world and his daughter,
right?
Because he was afraid that if he saved the world, his daughter would not exist. And vice versa. And so it was this amazing journey. I mean, when Clint, very beginning, first scene is Clint losing his family.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, so affecting to me as a dad. Then when Ant-Man comes back and is desperate to find his daughter,
right? And
she comes to the door and she's 5 years older,
right?
And again, bam, right in the dad kisser for me. I mean, just boom, right in there. When Thor sees his mom who is dead,
right?
Boom, you know, just like these emotional hammer blows.
Yeah. Oh, there was a lot of that during this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, especially at the end. And, you know, I think that, you know, I guess one of the things that, you know, I always look for is that what are the themes of these movies? And like you said, the idea of sacrifice is throughout this whole movie, throughout all of these movies, really, is one of the themes, the ultimate themes of all this, that someone is willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good, for the universe in this case. And, you know, that
resonates.
It does resonate.
Right now for us, especially.
It does
in Easter.
Yeah, especially during Easter. And I think, you know, it reminds us, you know, that Jesus did that.
Yeah, without getting too preachy, we can say, you know, I mean, just like there has been no other, I was thinking about this recently. There was no other faith, there was no other religion, no other religious tradition in history where the God not only became human, but became human and became a criminal and allowed himself to be sacrificed as a way to save the people who killed him.
Right.
It's astonishing. And so this message of self-sacrifice resonates throughout our civilization and throughout our history, and resonates into a superhero movie.
It does. And I think that's why superheroes are, I think they resonate with us because that's something that's deep down inside of us.
And I'll go right out on the limb and say superheroes exist as archetypes of Jesus.
Yeah.
If we didn't have Jesus, we didn't have the Christian message, I don't think we'd have superheroes.
Probably not.
There were heroes.
Sure.
But we didn't, like, in other civilizations and other traditions.
Right.
But the Superman hero, the Captain America, the self-sacrificing,
Iron Man,
the one who gives all of themselves without expectation of return.
Right.
That wouldn't exist otherwise. And that's what we see here. I mean, again, who do we lose? Let's talk about who we've lost.
Yeah, we lost Black Widow.
Right. We lost Vision because he died before the snap. So the only people we get back are the people who
died because
of the snap. So we lose Vision because of the snap. We lost the original version of Gamora, who knows Peter Quill and is in love with Peter Quill.
Right.
And so now we have Peter has lost something. Peter Quill has lost something.
He came back, thank God.
He did come back, so that's good. So we've lost Steve Rogers, Captain America, because he went and lived his life No, again, he's 100-something years old, looks like about 75 because he's got the super soldier serum. Right. But he's still an elderly man now. I have to say, good special effects on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty good. So we've lost Tony Stark. We've lost, like you said, Black Widow. Who else? Loki's still dead.
Is he, though?
Well, Loki died or didn't die before the snap.
Something happened with Loki. He's probably dead. Let's say he's probably dead.
I mean, it's Loki, so
yeah, you never know.
He's like the master in Doctor Who.
Loki can come.
He always turns up.
He'll turn up somewhere.
Yeah, he's got it's Tom Hiddleston.
He's a good actor. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it though. I guess for the sake of being complete, Thanos is dead.
Right. I mean, Thanos was from the first Avengers movie anyway. He was sort of the big bad guy.
Right. Like, who is
off screen? Right. Yeah. He's the big bad guy who set things in motion.
Right.
So certainly, yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it was a satisfying.
It was
completion to that.
And Thanos is an interesting character because he's the big baddie off in the series, but he's a conflicted character in my sense. He thinks he's doing something good.
That's what I like about him. There's no question he's a bad guy.
Right.
And he's got bad motives or bad.
He's got bad outcomes.
Bad ends. His means is bad. His ends are bad. But his motive, he thinks is motivated by compassion.
Right.
I mean, the premise the idea that the universe, again, right, has limited resources is laughable on its face. I mean, only a complete fool thinks that the universe.
Well, he is the mad type.
Right. He is the mad type. I mean, so he is damaged in some way in that perception.
But I mean,
but he's motivated. I mean, in some ways, he thinks he's motivated by compassion, by love.
Exactly.
I mean, he loved Gamora before he. That's how the only way he could get the Soul Stone was he loved Gamora.
Well, we lost. Did we say that we lost Nebula? We lost one Nebula.
We lost the
Nebula we knew.
No, we lost the Nebula.
Right.
We lost the Nebula who had not converted. We kept the Nebula that
Are you
had.
Sure?
Yes, I'm positive because you remember the bad Nebula was about to shoot Hawkeye, and the good Nebula. Oh no, the bad Nebula was about to shoot Gamora.
Right.
And the good Nebula, the one who went with Hawkeye to retrieve the Power Stone.
So where did she go? Why are there two Nebulas?
No, she shot her and she's dead.
Oh,
she shot the bad Nebula, and that's the one who died.
All right. Okay.
Nope,
you're right.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Yes, it is very. There's a lot of moving.
There's a lot of stuff to keep track of.
So, one of the questions, and we're saying this as we were coming out of the theater. We both thought Captain Marvel would have
a bigger
part in this movie. Now, of course, she was integral to the beginning
and the end,
to saving Tony, and the end defeating Thanos.
Right.
But she was really absent in the middle.
Yeah.
Where I thought she should have been. I was really surprised.
I was surprised too because I thought based on the end of Endgame,
Infinity War.
I'm sorry, Infinity War. I thought she would have been there. I thought it would have been her. Like,
right, she's the Thanos killer. I mean,
right.
she's the. I mean, that was so. That,
it makes sense. What she says makes sense.
There's a lot of planets.
There's a lot of planets to take care of. I get it, but she's
once they have the plan to go get the stones.
Yeah.
That one. Then that's when they should have recalled her. I didn't get that.
She only had 15 minutes on screen in this movie.
That's it. Wow.
Yeah. Ask me how I know that.
How do you know that?
Because there was a group of people that counted every minute that every character had and complained because
certain characters,
the men characters had more time on screen than the women characters.
How do you even know this? You sat there with a stopwatch.
They did.
Watching the first run.
They must have.
That's pathetic. I mean,
it's sad.
I mean, it's okay to be interested in is good representation, whatever. It's fine. If that's your thing, that's fine. But it's kind of sad that you went into the movie prepared to complain. Yeah. Don't go into movies prepared to complain.
No, they did.
That's pathetic.
It is sad.
Okay, so
anyway,
the other thing is the initial the gimmick, the plot, the scheme to fix things.
Yeah.
I really liked how there was this fun moment where they were talking about like, well, how does time travel work?
Right.
Oh, you just jump back in time. What makes you that? Star Trek, Star Wars, like
yeah, exactly. They're naming off all these time
travel movies,
yeah.
and
time
Bruce
after time,
somewhere in time.
Somewhere in time.
Bruce points out
a wrinkle in time.
Just because a bunch of movies did it this way doesn't mean it's that way. It's sort of a little meta wall breaking, which was fun.
It was
because it meant that the resolution to this problem was nowhere near as simple as most fans were theorizing.
Right.
The theory was they would find Thanos, take back the stones, snap their fingers again, and restore everything the way it was.
Yeah, that's a 5-minute movie.
Right. Well, in fact, it was. They went,
right.
The very beginning of this movie, they found Thanos, they, defeated him, chopped his head off, but he destroyed the stones. It was done.
Right.
And so what do we do? So I like that it was not that simple. And then we had to, 5 years later,
Yeah, there was that time in between where Thor got fat.
Yeah, that might have been the funniest thing of the movie.
The funniest thing of the movie.
With Thor becoming the Big Lebowski.
He became the dude.
When at the end of the movie, when he's standing on the cliff looking over Asgard with Valkyrie.
Right.
New Asgard, looking with Valkyrie. I'm thinking, that's like the end of Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to pour Tony's ashes.
Pour Tony's ashes out, yeah. Tony Stark was a young man, a man of his generation. Like so many men of his generation who died in places like Da Nang and
the Thor abides.
The Thor abides.
That's gonna be I need the T-shirt once we can spoil things.
Exactly.
Oh, and Taika Waititi, just so funny. The Rock guy, the actor who does the actor / director. The Rock. I can't remember his name. Who was his roommate.
Right.
Thor, this kid's back on Fortnite harassing me. And Thor gets on Fortnite. I am the God of Thunder. And
he yells at him.
Go cry to your mama now.
Yeah.
Thor's coming.
That's so funny.
It's so great.
Thor's had an interesting evolution as well.
I love the fact that they realized that Thor is best when he's funny.
Yeah.
Because Chris Hemsworth is funny.
Right.
And so play to his strengths and be funny with him.
Yeah. Because I think some of the Thor Dark World
was the worst.
One of the worst movies ever.
Yeah, it was the worst of these.
Certainly
Marvel
one
movies.
of the worst. The Marvel movies.
I think it was the worst.
Yeah.
I think most fans rank it there, and because it was too dark, too serious,
right.
And it was the late once they figured out that Thor Ragnarok was a revelation.
Oh my gosh, that was great.
It was such a great.
It's one of my favorites of the whole series.
Exactly, and so. Letting Chris Hemsworth wear the fat suit and play to that strength.
Yeah.
Captain America picking up the hammer.
Yeah.
Getting the hammer back was awesome.
Yeah.
Captain America picking up the hammer. Although they left that timeline without a Mjolnir at that point. So I wonder if they screwed up that timeline. Never mind.
I don't know.
Time travel doesn't bear too much thinking
about.
That's
right. Exactly.
So
you mean Back to the Future was crap? But that was cool though, watching them go back in time and see people that they knew and people that and even themselves.
And to see Natalie Portman again as Jane, and to see Renee Russo as Thor's mom, and to see all these characters, to see Michael Douglas digitally de-aged.
Yeah.
See that hair?
Yeah.
Man, that hair.
That was funny.
That was good. So that was that was a lot of fun. Seeing the Stanley cameo, which was nice. Where he was, Father Chip didn't catch it.
I didn't catch it. It blew right past me because there was so many things going on.
It was when they went to 1970 to the Army base, and he was the guy driving by yelling at the window at the Army guys. There was a lot of good. I mean, Marissa Tomei didn't have any speaking lines, but she was just kind of sort of there. Oh, the relationship between Tony and Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He gives him a hug when he comes back, and Peter's like, "This is nice."
Yeah, this is nice.
He's adorable.
He's awkward.
He is awkward. Yeah. He's an awkward kid looking for a father figure, really, and Tony was that.
All of a sudden, we were there, and then
everything got dusty.
Everything got dusty, and then we were back.
And Doctor Strange said it would have been 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like Doctor Strange. I like that character.
Yeah.
I like Benedict Cumberbatch. So
yeah, and
I wish he had more in this movie.
Right. And as so many people surmised, that's why he gave up the stone. He gave up the stone because he knew there was only one possible timeline in 14 million that succeeded of the 14 million he looked at, and it's the one that looked like defeat. So it was.
There you go.
I did like after 5 years when they came back from the 5 years later.
Yeah.
Captain America is leading a group therapy session.
Yeah.
Which
that was kind of weird.
That was kind of weird. Seemed appropriate for Captain America group therapy, but
he kind of got, I don't know. It was funny. He just kind of was trying to get everybody to move on. But none of them could move on.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right. Well, if anybody, he's the one who never moved on because Peggy Carter, he never moved on.
He never moved on. And we see what happens at the end of the movie.
Right.
He really never moved on.
He goes back and is able to do it again.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the whole decision to have Bruce integrated with the Hulk.
Yeah.
Not separate, but together. I'm not sure how you feel about that. Mm-hmm. Is this now Bruce? Is this how he is now, always going to be?
That's a good question. The only time we saw him as Bruce was when that Tilda Swinton character split him apart.
Right.
Like she's somehow able to do.
Yeah. Well, they did that in the Doctor Strange movie. But I know. Yeah,
I know. I don't get it. I don't understand what
the mystical astral projection
weird
thing.
Power she has.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was, but I liked. It was interesting. She had more speaking lines, I think, than Benedict Cumberbatch.
She did,
and that was fascinating. The whole thing was fascinating. I mean, but I just, you feel for the characters that lost the loved ones throughout the whole movie. You feel for them, and when they get their loved ones back, you just, it's like it's all good. All of a sudden, it's all good again.
Right.
And that was good, except for the losses, which are real losses for this franchise.
So there was in that final scene where Pepper puts the wreath onto the lake, and they pan across all the characters who are present. Standing right behind the Guardians of the Galaxy was one young man, standing alone, and I didn't recognize him.
I didn't either,
and I wonder if that's significant.
Could be.
I mean, it could be just haven't been paying close enough attention. But,
right. It could be blanking on a character.
But I'm gonna have to do some looking around and asking, seeing if people, because maybe that's a hint at something.
Could be. There was no after credits.
Right. There was just a sound of hammering, like someone hammering at a forge.
Yeah, it was weird though.
Is maybe
why?
Phase 2. This is maybe where that's something having to do with whatever the next big bad guy is.
Yeah. We're going to get Thor Jr. maybe?
Well, let's talk about that. Like, I wanted to talk about, like, where does Marvel go from here? Where do these superheroes...
Good question.
So, Steve has passed on the shield to Falcon.
Right.
And I was saying, I hope Falcon gets a super soldier serum upgrade. Otherwise, he's going to get his butt kicked if he tries to be Captain America. A lot. But, but he's the new Captain America.
Yeah.
Black Panther's back, Doctor Strange is back, Spider-Man's back. But
Guardians of the Galaxy are back.
So who picks up the Iron Man mantle? Because they're not going to leave that character.
Yeah.
To lie fallow. They got to do something.
My guess is, if it's not Pepper Potts, it'll be someone.
Well, if Don Cheadle is War Machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Rhodey. But he's already got his thing.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, my guess is, why not let Pepper Potts do it?
Pepper as Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although,
I mean, she's got nothing else.
It would certainly be a very different sort of movie superhero. She's not anywhere in the league. I mean, Iron Man is the sort of wisecracking smart guy, head of Avengers, which the dynamic would be totally changed. Yeah, it doesn't have to necessarily be someone who's wisecracking, but it's the smart.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's going to be the leader of the group, but she's certainly smart. She's a smart person. She's not a dummy.
Yeah, I don't know if they actually plan to do more like Iron Man movies.
I don't either. They may not. Yeah. And they may just decide that they'll go with the characters they have.
Yeah.
And maybe she'll come out of retirement every once in a while to help him out.
Right, just to be part of an Avengers movie, say.
Right.
Or some like a Captain America movie. Yeah, I could see that.
And why didn't they let Bucky be Captain America?
That is a good. I think. Well, I think
he had the super serum, didn't he?
Yeah, I think the clear implication is that Bucky has had enough of fighting in war and wants to, because in Infinity War he had retired to, raise goats in Wakanda,
right? Right.
And was called back because they needed him. But his clear desire is to lay down his arm,
right?
Lay down his arms, lay down his arm.
I get it.
Just making sure you got my.
No, I got it.
It wasn't that good.
It wasn't the. It may work on your kids, but it's not going to work on me.
That's right. So, I think we're going to get. They may pull some more superheroes out that they haven't had before.
I think that's more likely the case. There'll be a sort of quote unquote new Avengers, and they'll have some of the old guys sprinkled in just as,
right. We'll have more Captain Marvel. We'll have...
Oh, definitely more Captain Marvel.
In fact, she may end up becoming the leader of Avengers.
She may.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a natural choice.
Yeah. They're going to integrate the X-Men because now that Disney has...
Yep.
Those are from Fox.
So, and Spider-Man's quote-unquote an adventure.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
They've got enough characters to make a go of it.
Right.
In whatever this phase 2 is going to be.
It's interesting, the idea. I mean, that their plan is to just like the comic books, just to go on and just every once in a while reinvent the characters, put a new person in the role.
Right, and there's nothing to say that in 10 years they couldn't do another Iron Man standalone.
Right, they'll bring
new actors,
throw a new actor in the suit, and just for whatever reason they're the new Iron Man. I think that's entirely plausible.
And they've got. If they're going to if Disney's going to redo every animated movie as quote unquote live action, then there's no reason why they couldn't, reboot some of these other things down the road.
After 20 years, another 10 years, it'll be 20 years.
Exactly.
That seems to be about how often we reboot movies these days.
They have a built-in audience that if they just wanted to play toward their built-in audience, they might have something. They got the comic book sci-fi movie people.
Yeah.
I know they want to expand their audience because they want all the money in the world.
Well, yeah, and it's a cash cow.
Right. So, but I think there's plenty of material that's already written.
Right.
That just needs to be movie expanded or movie condensed.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
Just do that.
There's lots of material out there.
That's the stuff. Yeah. I've said that about Star Trek. I've said that about Star Wars. I've said that about all of it.
And they're doing it. They are expanding. A lot of these franchises are. So, yeah. Hopefully not. They don't go. There's a danger of too much Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Too much. There's even more Marvel TV series than I've even mentioned, which I haven't even seen. Some of these fringe ones.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility of overusing, but there's certainly there's enough there after 70 some odd years, 80 years of comic books that they could work with. So I think that wraps up our.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. Great movie.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah.
I really want to see it again where I can slow my roll and kind of pay attention to absorb more information. Right. And but I think I'd say if you haven't seen it and you just listen to all of our spoilers, go see it.
Yes.
Because now that you're spoiled,
it's still worth watching.
It's still worth watching. Right. Absolutely.
Definitely. So, and as I said, keep an eye out for our future panel discussion of this movie, which will have our more in-depth observations based on more time to think about and ruminate on it. So I'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create Coffee and Cinema, including Ramon S., Ryan Z., Jack B., Patricia V., and Michael A. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue Coffee and Cinema and all the shows we do at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Before we sign off, I wanted to remind you to like the Secrets of Movies and TV Shows podcast on Facebook. This episode of the Coffees and Cinema version of it on Facebook, on our Facebook page at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, and retweet us on Twitter where we're at SQPN, and If you have not done so, please subscribe in iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or TuneIn or your favorite podcast app, or on YouTube where we post the show. And if you do subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell to get notifications. And above all, please share the podcast with your friends and others.
And rate it and everything else.
Right. Help us grow our community of listeners. That makes the show better for all of us. So that's it from us. What did you think of Avengers Endgame? We'd love to hear from you. So let us know by visiting sqpn.com/secrets or the StarQuest Facebook page. Leave feedback there or send an email to secrets@sqpn.com. Until next time, Father Chip Hines, thank you for joining me for Coffee and Cinema.
Thanks, Tom.
And once again, I'm Don Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Movies and TV Shows on StarQuest.